let's talk about one of the most obscure things ever. The infamous Hungarian Han Solo novels. Oh boy. Okay, so these have become more widely known over the last couple of years, I believe, at least within the Star Wars Expanded Universe fandom. But just to quickly recap the history for people who don't know. In the early 90s, obviously the Expanded Universe started 1991, Heir to the Empire and stuff, and these books were translated in Hungary as well. And they became pretty successful. And the publisher, Valhalla, decided, hey, this stuff is selling pretty well. We're just gonna write our own. So they wrote a sequel to Heir to the Empire before Dark Force Rising was released in 1992, called The Power of the Jedi, if I'm not mistaken. And I haven't read that one yet. I don't know if it has been translated. I've heard it's fucking terrible in every regard, but I would be curious. But besides those Expanded Universe novels, the older stuff was also published in Hungary, like Brian Daley's Han Solo trilogy. And this one was also pretty successful. And so the publisher decided, let's also pump out Han Solo novels, which take place after Daley's trilogy and they tie in, obviously. So they got the translators, the Hungarian translators, who I believe did like Heir to the Empire and the Daily books. And they told them, hey, write some original stories. I shouldn't have to explain this, but just to make it clear, that isn't legal. That is absolutely not legal. There was no agreement with Lucasfilm whatsoever. This was a foreign publisher who had the rights, officially. They had the rights to publish Star Wars books made by Lucasfilm in Hungary. And apparently there was some kind of loophole they used and they got these books published. And they were all published in the early 90s, and for a couple of years nobody knew about them outside of Hungary. But then the internet became more widely known and used, and eventually people realized, wait, what is this? Because the publisher fucked everyone over, like they tricked everyone, because in the impressum it mentions, oh, original English title of this book is Han Solo at Doomsday's Edge. Which is nonsense, because eventually people realized, wait, such a book doesn't exist in English. And there are no Ed Fisher or Dale Avery who allegedly wrote these English novels. And eventually Lucasfilm learned of the existence of these books and they did the obvious thing and they shut it all down. And until now, nobody outside of Hungary really could read them. Okay, so I have no idea why this wasn't done way earlier, because it could have been done at any point. I don't think these books, the Hungarian paperbacks and stuff, I don't think they are hard to find. Anyone, any Star Wars fan who had interest in it could have done it. But it took until, oh my god, when was this? A couple years ago now? These books got translated into English for the first time fully by Douglas, shout out, you know who you are, thank you, who used AI to translate and a native speaker to actually check that it's, like, okay. And I know people are gonna scream, oh, you're using AI to translate. That was recommended by the Hungarian person, because Hungarian is a shit language. And this person also checked, after it was done, to see, okay, is this actually a faithful translation? Especially because there's a lot of cursing and swear words in these, and it's funny. It's just funny. And not in this first book I'm gonna talk about now, but it shows up. I mean, I think I will mention the translation and how it reads a little bit, but it's fine. That's the gist of it. It's perfectly fine. But if you feel so offended by using a translation software to translate this and having a native speaker then check it to see if it actually worked, and you want to read it translated by someone who actually speaks both languages, there are other translations made by someone, who was also interested in it, but they are now in the possession of Joe Bongiorno since 4 to 5 years by now, and I don't think they're gonna see the light of day because, much like the cancelled novel Heart of the Jedi, Joe Bongiorno is going to do a bunch of edits to make it fit with the wider expanded universe, which is nonsense and very offensive in regards to like saving this piece of history, just changing shit so it fits a universe it wasn't designed for to fit in. And also it's going to be a nightmare, and it would require heavy rewrites with what is given in these books. I'm going to get into it with this story in particular. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on with that. That's just quickly summarized. But now let's jump into the actual book, the actual story. That's what I'm interested in. The first book under the title Han Solo's Nomads. And just so you know, I'm gonna try to avoid spoilers because I do recommend these books. They are something unique and special, and I think everyone should just experience them on their own, you know. If you are interested in some fun, pulpy Star Wars novels, basically. Okay, so with Han Solo's Nomads, this book is set after the events of Brian Daley's last book, Han Solo and the Lost Legacy, and it's kind of ignored, because at the end of that book, this is a little spoiler here, but it doesn't matter, the two droids, Bollux and Blue Max, are no longer with Han and Chewie. They are going to like some university, but that is all completely ignored in this one. They are just back and part of the Falcon's crew. It's not explained, which is both a negative and a positive, I guess. You can just headcanon that, oh, they are still with them now for some reason. Whatever. I wasn't too bothered by this. They don't really do much in the book. It's fine. That one really feels like they are in here just because the Daily Trilogy was popular and we needed a direct connection to it. But now for the main story. It's basically that Han and Chewie are gonna deliver some stuff to a planet, and there are a lot of double crosses because there are different rebel organizations. There are Imperials on the planet in control, as you would expect, and there is an ancient alien species, the original inhabitants of that planet, called the Nomads, the titular Nomads, who Han befriends and kind of helps out here. That's the easiest way to summarize the story without spoiling too much. There's a lot of different factions. There is some very nice lore and world building going on here with that, which is fun. And there's some pretty big continuity problems with that as well. Okay, first off, the species of the Nomads, their backstory and everything is very interesting. I like that. I like how Han befriends them. That's all good stuff. I like the main love interest. Basically, Han Solo, it's kind of similar to like the daily books where he has a different love interest in each one. The James Bond thing, you know, with the Bond girls, that's basically it. That's fine. Now the villains, the Imperials. That is when we get into something very shocking. This author, Ed Fisher, as he calls himself, he apparently was a big fan of the Marvel Star Wars comics, which is shocking because he brings in two characters, Valance the Hunter and Dorman Tag, and the Tag Corporation, you know, that family business that is doing work with and for the Empire. And they do kind of act like they do in the Marvel comics, like with Valance and stuff. He has the same backstory, you know, the cyborg aspect and everything. And Tag, I don't think it's mentioned that he's blind in this, so that's kind of weird. But this book kind of treats the Marvel comics like Star Wars Legends is treated nowadays, where it's just like, oh, that's the old stuff, and we can just take elements from that and rearrange it and put our own spin on it. That's what this is, because it doesn't align with the Marvel run at all, which this is set before all of that, when we meet these characters in the Marvel Star Wars comics, because those are obviously set after A New Hope. Let's just say the fate of Valance and Dorman Tag is a very different one in this book, and you would have to make heavy rewrites to fix it. But I find that fascinating. I think as a book on its own, it works perfectly fine. If you're someone who very much values continuity with everything and you're kind of obsessed with that, you're probably not gonna like that, but oh well. Now going a little bit more into the translation. Obviously, I'm not the best choice to critique this because I'm also not a native English speaker. So some of the stuff, some of the mistakes may have also escaped my notice, but it's readable, perfectly fine. There are some punctuation errors, there's some sentences that are repeated twice because this was made in a hurry, to be fair. But that can all be smoothed out in further revisions, no problem. It is as it is now, like the version I have was like the prototype translation. And it's fine. It gets the job done, it doesn't read too awkwardly, not like, I don't know, like early Google Translate where it's just complete gibberish shit. This is fine. But see, the thing is, I've been told that the native Hungarian who actually looked over this was of the opinion that the original text wasn't that well written to begin with. And yeah, I mean, it is decent enough. It's readable and the story itself is fine. But the writing, I don't think it is just the translation. Again, we had the native speaker's opinion on that. I think Ed Fisher isn't a great writer because I'm already done with Han Solo, the Imperial Agent, the next book written by Dale Avery, and that one is much better. Much, much better written. So it's kind of hard to critique this writing because it is just this translation. I can't be fully sure how it reads in the original language. As it is, it's fine, but it's nothing special. And the next book, at least, is definitely an improvement. Oh, and before I forget, another fun thing in here is how it treats other Star Wars material. Because again, this was written early 90s, only Heir to the Empire had been out at this point, and it references stuff from the movies, from Heir to the Empire, because Coruscant is name-dropped once. It mentions stuff from the early scripts, because Governor Tarkin is mentioned. Grand Moff Wilf Tarkin is mentioned, and it's said that he's the governor of the Utapau system. Which obviously doesn't make any sense, but Utapau was already a name in like the original scripts and stuff, and this author, Ed Fisher, he just took that. Which is fun. I honestly think that's pretty funny. Same with this. Okay, so this is part of the backstory for the titular Nomads. They once fought against an alien species that was extremely dangerous and almost destroyed all of the galaxy. They were just vicious fucking animals. And that's fine. That's cool. Problem is, they are Gundarks. Now at this point, I don't think it was established what Gundarks really were, or at least Ed Fisher clearly didn't know or didn't do research into that. If it had been published in like, I don't know, maybe West End Games stuff explained what Gundarks were. But to me that felt like Ed Fisher, he watched Empire Strikes Back, he heard the word Gundark, and then he just made up this backstory and tied it into this alien species, the Nomads. And it's fun. I think that's pretty fun stuff, but obviously that doesn't work with the wider universe anymore either. So yeah, you just have to live with that, or just replace the name of the alien species in your head if it bothers you that much. But that's basically it. I think Han Solo's Nomads, as a book on its own, it's fun. It's not the greatest thing ever. I don't think the writing is that great. Not even judging the translation. Again, I think it's really the writing itself is not that stellar, but it has a lot of good ideas. It has a very pulpy, early Star Wars feeling to it. And Han Solo as a character is very well written. He feels very much like Han Solo. Same with, I'm going to talk about in another video, the Imperial Agent, the next book. They nail the character. And that's a big part of why these books still work for me. And yeah, I like the creativity in this. I like how it tries to kind of mimic the daily books in tone and story and scope, but doing its own thing with it. It's fun. I would definitely recommend this one. I've been told it's the worst of the 4 books, which is fine with me. If this is the worst one, it can only go up. That's great. And yeah, it is. But we're going to talk about that another time with the Imperial Agent, the second book, now written by Dale Avery.